A history of ulceration in front of left medial. History of ulceration in front of left medial malleolus for past 4 months was sudden in onset, progressive in nature, associated with pain and not associated with any discharge. Next. History of bluish purple discoloration appeared first, which progressed to blackish discoloration on the left fourth and fifth toes for past 4 months. History of pain, no history of pain in the left thigh, no history of superficial thrombophlebitis, no history of trauma, no history of fever, chest pain, fainting, blackouts, abdominal pain, impotence, or blurred vision. Past history, no similar episodes in the past, no history of diabetes mellitus, hypertension, tuberculosis, asthma, or any other cardiovascular problems, no history of jaundice, no history of blood transfusion or previous hospitalization or major surgeries. Family history, no history of similar complaints in family members, no history of atherosclerotic or cardiovascular diseases in the family. Personal history, he is a non-vegetarian. History of smoking for past 6 years, 10 cigarettes per day with smoking index of 60. History of alcohol consumption, 180 ml per day for 5 years. History of tobacco chewing for past 6 months, 2 to 3 times per week. He has normal bowel and bladder habits and sleep is disturbed. Treatment history, no history of any continuous drug intake, no history of allergy to drug or food. Summary, a 28-year-old male, Mr. Prakash, a coolie worker from Vyasarpadi, is a chronic smoker, alcoholic and chews tobacco with complaints of severe aching pain in the left leg for past 5 months, blackish discoloration of fourth and fifth toes for past 4 months, and ulceration in front of left medial malleolus for past 4 months, and rest pain for past 1 month, with no history of previous episodes or significant family history. With the given complaints, I would like to propose a diagnosis of peripheral arterial disease, probably Berger's disease, and confirm the same with examination. General examination. The patient.
So,
yes.
with this history.
Okay.
1 minute. Wait. With this history, go to the first slide.
Yes, ma'am. Kartika, first slide.
Go to the first slide. Okay.
Kartika, go to the first slide.
First one.
History first slide.
Where you had the
Previously. Chief complaints slide.
Yes, sir.
even one slide, the name you have given, no? Previous slide.
Patient details.
Yes. This is, you said, Prakash, 32 years, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
32 years, and his occupation, why you write, you don't say it is a coolie worker, you say manual laborer, means manual laborer, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So, in this slide, you have to correct that. So, and also the socio-economic status, you have said low socio-economic status. What way is it you come to arrive at the low socio-economic status? That also you have to mention a little bit, okay? Next slide. See, here the main complaint is pain. Pain over the left leg for past 5 months. And there is also over the left medial malleolus for 4 months, and blackish discoloration over the fourth and fifth left toe for 4 months. So the ulcer and the blackish discoloration has come at the same time, almost at the same time. Okay. And what is the main problem of this patient? It is the pain, ulcer, and gangrene or whatever, the blackish discoloration. So pain is present for 5 months, and the blackish discoloration and ulceration is present for 4 months. So only for 1 month he has got all those pain associated whatever discoloration or anything of the leg or claudication or anything will be there in the first 1 month, which may be increased to this ulcer or discoloration for the past 4 months. So during that 1 month, what happened? That is what you have to ask in the history. Next slide. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Hello.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, you are able to hear, no?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So you have to get for the first 1 month what happened. That's what you are going to say. The next part of it, that is history of presenting illness. Now you are telling that a patient was normal for 5 months, then developed pain of the left leg for 5 months, and along with that you are talking about the claudication distance, everything, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So this claudication, if it is present, when it would have been there during the five months back or till 4 months, that is the status which you are talking about, the 200 meters, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, you have during that period, the patient developed compressive pain or claudication or cramp like pain or whatever, and then progressed to breast pain, and then now the patient has blackish discoloration. So that is for past 4 months. So if the patient has pain and ulcer and discoloration for past 4 months, he doesn't have pain. What was the treatment going on for the past 4 months?
Ma'am, he didn't
You should
turn up.
ask, you should ask about it, whether he has taken any drugs for that. Any analgesics have been taken during that period.
Okay, ma'am.
So grading has to be done. At present, what is the grade going on? Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So is it radiating pain you have written here? In this case, it will not be radiating, it will be a crampy pain, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Type of pain you have to give, and not radiating is not essential over
Okay.
here.
Okay, ma'am.
Huh?
Okay, ma'am.
And the pain, where exactly this you have to all these you have to explain.
Ma'am, it's getting cut. Ma'am, I'm not able to hear you clearly.
Okay. Now the next point
Ma'am?
you are given is aggravated by walking,
Ma'am, can you hear us, ma'am? Ma'am?
lying down during night, and cold exposure. So all these are aggravating. One walk.
Ma'am, ma'am, can you hear me?
Able to hear?
It's getting cut a lot, ma'am. Only one word I'm able to hear.
Kartika?
Ma'am, we can't hear you, ma'am.
You are able to hear?
Ma'am, now yes. Now yes. Ma'am?
Now look at the screen once again. Okay.
Sir, can you hear us, sir?
Yes, are you able to hear? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Continue.
Janvi, you can continue.
Yeah. Ma'am, you were telling something about aggravating factors.
Yeah, you are able to hear now, no?
No, yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes. Okay, I will continue. So you have to tell about the type of pain and from where to where it extends and for what duration. Is it for the whole 4 months or is it increasing in nature for the past few weeks or few days for which he has come over here? So is it relieved by rest and hanging the legs down? So what does this mean, relieved by rest? What is the
Ma'am,
pathophysiology over here?
it is an if it's an arterial issue, when he's walking, the muscle consumes all the oxygen. So after a point of time, the oxygen needs are not being able to meet. So he has to take rest so the cramps reduce. And on hanging down,
So here,
gravitational pull will support the blood
so
flow.
this,
Hanging
all
down,
these occurs. All these occur during the early phases, and later on the pain may be feature throughout, and this hanging of legs down, all those things will not be will not okay, maybe before this gangrene and everything. So you said before
ma'am, it is not at all clear, ma'am. I can't understand you.
you're audible.
Ma'am, it's breaking a lot, ma'am. I'm not able to understand what you're telling.
Shall we continue?
Sir, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
You're able to hear now. No, I will continue. Whenever you are not able to hear, you just stop. Huh?
Yeah, okay, ma'am.
I am able to hear.
Okay.
So you have to say about what makes the condition worse, what gives relief to that particular patient and the particular leg. Okay, so you have to ask not only of the left leg alone, you have to ask for the right leg also. What happens to the right leg when there is there any pain, or they say the intensity is less, or there is no pain at all? Okay.
I mentioned it at the end altogether, so it is normal. Is that right, or should I say here itself? Ma'am?
Can you hear us clearly?
Yeah, it clears now, sir.
Okay. You can. There is. You said it's sudden in onset and progressive in nature, associated with pain and not associated with discharge. Which one? That is ulceration. You said it is. That is 4 months duration ulcer, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Which is associated with pain. Next slide. You go for the next slide.
Can you see, ma'am? Ma'am?
And the pain where the exact site and you have to say the duration and what causes relief, what is the medication he has taken, all those you have to come on have in this part of it. And about the contralateral limb also. Okay. Now you have.
Ma'am, it's breaking again.
No, we are getting good signal, ma. How
Ma'am,
about
but
for
can you all hear ma'am well?
Yeah, I am able to hear you people.
yeah, your voice is very clear to us.
Yours is breaking a lot. For everyone, it is breaking, it seems, ma'am.
Okay, we'll check again. Just a minute.
One plus, okay, IGS. This is one plus IGS level.
IGS na இப்போ இருந்தது IGS இருந்தது அதுவும் பிரேக் ஆகும்.
Hello?
Is it clear now or breaking? over?
Clear.
Yeah, okay. So there is, you are given no history of pain over the left thigh, and there is no evidence of any superficial thrombophlebitis and all those things you are given. So when there is gangrene over one area, that is the bluish discoloration, purplish discoloration you have said, when there is gangrene, you have to look for all the other areas if the blood supply to the other organs are normal, and you have given the full list of all those history of fainting and all those things have been given. Now, here the important point is here you don't have superficial thrombophlebitis in this particular case. And is there any other problem like any abdominal pain which you had given is no history of abdominal pain. So if there is any abdominal pain, you go on with the history whichever symptom is present. Otherwise, you carry on with the same thing. Next slide. See here you have given about the blood transfusion and similar episodes in the past, all those things you have given. One more to be added, is there any blood dysplasias as such? Okay? Blood dysplasia in the sense, maybe a polycythemia vera, wherein polycythemia vera, wherein you may have an increased RBCs, and then the coagulation will be more in that condition. So those conditions you have to add in one more to be added to the past history. Next slide.
Okay.
So here again the family members, any family members, and you have given about the atherosclerotic and cardiovascular diseases, family history or anything else like diabetes, all these to be added.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Hello?
Next.
Yes, ma'am. It's changed to personal history.
Tell about the smoking, alcohol, tobacco, all these three are very important. All these are very important. And about the sleep is disturbed, you have given it. That is not necessary. Okay. So smoking index you have given as 16. Do you know how you calculate this?
It is number
Smoking
of
index,
number of cigarettes per day into the number of years, ma'am.
Number of years.
Index is number of
Okay.
packs, cigarette into
Mm.
number of
Number of years. So the value of this is, you know about the value, how much is normal?
normal.
Above how much the risk factor is more.
About 300 for pack years, ma'am.
Ah,
And for, sorry,
okay.
it's above 40. Smoking index is above 3. Is the risk.
So you have, if the number of cigarettes increases or the alcohol consumption is increased or the tobacco chewing nature has been present for a long time, then the risk factor is more for this patient to go in for a vascular problem. So you need not say about the sleep over here. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Next slide. So here again, the treatment is drug intake. Definitely, this patient would have taken some drugs for the past 4 months before he has come to you, isn't it?
Analgesics, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, whatever he has taken, you have to give it. Okay. And allergy history, he doesn't give any food allergy. That is okay. Next slide. So here you said that Prakash is 32 years, now he has become 28 years, isn't it?
Sorry, ma'am.
On coolie worker, you change it as a manual laborer or something, and you have to give need not give all these things. Who is a smoker, alcoholic, and tobacco chewer with complaints of severe aching pain in the left leg for past 5 months with discoloration, all those things you are given, and ulceration for 4 months, and the rest pain for past 1 month. Here you are given it as 1 month with no history of previous episodes. That means the prior to 5 months. Okay. So definitely this patient would have had some problem prior to this also, because he is a chronic smoker as well as an alcoholic. He would have had some other problem, but you have to say, need not say the whole thing in the summary. So you have to cut short with the age, patient name or whatever, and the important salient features together, and the predisposing factors of course you are given.
Ma'am, it is breaking
So
again, ma'am.
with this complaint, what you say Burgess disease? Why do you say confirm that it could be a Burgess?
Hello? Ma'am? Ma'am?
So what are all the, coming on to the vascular diseases, what are the common vascular diseases you come across? That is the arterial.
Ma'am, I
Ma'am,
see.
can you hear me, ma'am?
This is Burgess disease because he's a male and he's of age 30 to 40 years.
Could be a venous
so it is the most common.
disorder or a arterial disorder.
Ma'am, it is
With all these complaints.
Ma'am.
Is it an arterial disease or a venous disease?
Arterial, ma'am.
Yes. You are able to hear now, no? Clearly?
Yeah.
Okay. So you come to a conclusion that it is an arterial disease. Why?
Because of the claudication, intermittent claudication.
What else?
Then rest is relieving the pain, and hanging the legs down is relieving. So it's more of arterial.
Okay. In case of venous disorder, what happens usually? There will
Venous,
be
if you lie down,
Be like-
there'll be needs
more of edema and or features like dilated veins or ulcers or whatever. If there is any thrombus inside the deep veins, the entire presentation is different, isn't it?
Yes.
So you come to a conclusion that it is an arterial problem to some extent. We don't know whether it is atherosclerosis or a Burgess disease, isn't it? Or any inflammatory pathology or any other immune compromised, immunosuppressive states, as well as the in diabetes. This patient is not a diabetic, isn't it?
Yeah, he's not a diabetic.
Hypertension?
No hypertension.
No hypertension. So, what are the diseases you can expect? So, coming on to arterial disease of the lower limb, what all you know, that is, you have either a large vessel being affected or a medium and small vessels being affected. That complaints that you have to see whether it is a large vessel. Now you have the gangrene of the toes. So this states that the smaller vessels are being affected.
Yes.
And the medium-sized vessels like the popliteal may have been affected. So there is a ulcer over the medial aspect of the leg.
Yes.
So can this ulcer, where does the venous ulcer occur usually?
Gators area.
So here again you are given the same place in front of the left medial malleolus you have given. So that also you can't say whether it is venous related or arterial, but still you can think of popliteal artery occlusion, whatever it is, whether it is a thrombus or embolus. How do you say that it is not a embolus?
Embolus is an acute condition.
Yes, embolus occurs
Sudden block of blood.
sudden, but in this case it's a chronic obstruction to the vessel. So now you see that it is a small vessel being affected, small and medium vessels being affected rather than a large vessel, and so you conclude your diagnosis. So that's why you're giving it as a peripheral arterial disease, probably Burgess. Okay.
Yes.
Next slide.
General examination. The patient is examined in a well-lit room with adequate privacy after obtaining consent. He is conscious, cooperative, and oriented to time, place, and person. Moderately built and moderately nourished. There is no pallor, icterus, cyanosis, clubbing, significant generalized lymphadenopathy, or pedal edema. Next slide, yeah. Vitals, pulse rate is 92 per minute. No radial or radiofemoral delay. Respiratory rate 14 per minute. Blood pressure 110/80 mmHg. Measured in sitting position on the right upper limb. Temperature afebrile. Local examination. Inspection of the left lower limb in supine. Yes, ma'am. Sir. Sir?
Yeah, continue.
Local examination, inspection of the left lower limb in supine position. It looks pale.
Continue.
Yes, continue.
It looks pale. Attitude is normal. No muscle wasting seen. Skin, thinning of the skin is present with loss of hair, loss of shininess, and loss of subcutaneous fat. Nails are brittle and transverse ridges are seen. Then dry gangrene seen over the 4th and 5th left toes with blackish discoloration and well-defined line of demarcation. There is no foul smell. Ulcer, it is of size 2 into 3 centimeters and 2 centimeters in front
Continue.
of the medial malleolus. 2 into 3 centimeters and 2 centimeters in front of left medial malleolus. It has punched out edges, slough and necrotic tissue on the floor, no discharge, and the surrounding area is red. Berger's test is positive on raising the leg to about 45 degrees. Venous guttering is also seen at 45 degrees. Left thigh appears normal, right lower limb appears normal, the upper limbs are normal. Palpation, skin is cold compared to the other limb. Gangrene, site left 4th and 5th toes. It is dry, hard and shriveled. No sensation present, and surrounding area is hyperesthetic. No local crepitus, and movements of joints adjacent to the gangrenous area are normal.
So the right lower limb is normal.
Normal. Yes. Next slide, yeah. Ulcer. It is a tender ulcer, 2 centimeter in front of left medial malleolus, of size 2 into 3 centimeters. Punched out edges, well-defined margin. Tendons can be felt at the base. No discharge or bleeding. Left thigh is normal, right leg is normal, and upper limbs are normal. Examination of the pulses. No thickness is felt.
Continue.
No thickness felt in the arterial wall. And pulses are examined from head to toe. Carotid artery, subclavian artery, superficial temporal, axillary, brachial, radial.
Left thigh is normal, right leg. Wow.
Ma'am?
Hello.
Continue, ma'am.
Continue.
Pulses. Yes, ma'am. Yes, can you hear?
Hello. Yes. Yeah, I am able to hear. Continue.
Arteries from head to toe, pulsation is examined. From carotid, subclavian,
Okay.
superficial, temporal.
Yeah, you continue with the next slide.
Okay, ma'am. There is no pulsation felt in the posterior tibial and dorsalis pedis on the left leg.
Okay.
Capillary and venous refilling is delayed. Auscultation, no bruise.
How do you test for the capillary and the venous refilling?
In palpation, we have to press the toe, the tip of the toe for 5 seconds and leave it.
Tip of me?
And generally,
Tip of what?
the toe.
Okay, toenail or the pulp, whatever.
You have
Then
to
what do you do?
about 10 seconds and leave it. Generally, it refills by 2 to 3
How
seconds.
many seconds?
2 to 3
How many seconds? So it has to refill within 2 seconds. Okay. If that is not there, then you call it as delayed. Okay. Venous refilling.
Harvey's sign, ma'am. You have
Okay. How do you do that?
you have to take find a vein, take a segment of it, and press it with 2 fingers. And you have to make the vein with 1 finger that is towards the heart. And then when you release your fingers, it has to refill. If not, it is delayed.
Okay. So you see how it is refilling over there. So whether it is delayed or not. Okay. In arterial problem, what happens with the venous refilling? That also will get delayed. Okay. So that's what I have given. Okay. So arterial and venous refilling is delayed. Okay. Auscultation.
No bruit heard on any of the arteries.
Which all arteries you look for?
Ma'am, what all we palpated, we look for along with abdominal
Okay.
aorta also.
Common areas where you have a bruit. Why do you get the bruit?
When there is sluggish flow or non-laminar flow.
Is it a sluggish or what? Something else?
When there are eddy currents or non-laminar.
So when there is a stenosis or a dilatation, that is your aneurysm, then the flow will not be a laminar enough flow, it goes to the sides and again comes to the main part. Okay, so there is a disturbance to the main flow, so that is heard as a bruit. So you have to look for abdomen, okay, as well as the carotid. These are the main areas where you have to look for bruit. Okay, go on. Neurological examination.
Motor system is normal. In sensory examination, paresthesia is felt over the left foot.
Okay. Motor
Examination.
system normal in the sense, what do you say? The patient is able to move all the joints. That's what you want to say.
Yes, ma'am. Gross motor and fine motor both are fine.
Okay. Okay.
Then
And
examine.
you have to include whether the muscle mass is normal or is it less compared to the contralateral side. Whether you have to measure the diameter, measure the circumference of the cuff, so that is it the same over here and the opposite side, that you have to mention. Okay, go on.
Hello.
Huh?
I mentioned about.
Hello?
I told no muscle wasting earlier. Now.
Where previous slide?
I think inspection.
Oh, inspection. Okay.
Okay,
Okay, don't go back. Come forward. Okay.
Examination of lymph nodes, no clinically palpable lymph nodes.
No clinically palpable lymph nodes where? I have to mention where exactly, over the popliteal region or over the inguinal region. Okay?
Okay.
Go on.
Next slide, yeah.
Next.
Other system examination, cardiovascular system, S1 and S2 are heard, no murmurs. Abdomen on inspection, it is scaphoid in shape, no dilated veins or draining sinuses present. Palpation is it is soft and no organomegaly. Respiratory system, normal vesicular breath sounds heard. CNS, no focal neurological deficit.
Okay.
Provisional diagnosis. It is a critical limb ischemia causing gangrene of the left fourth and fifth toes, an arterial ulcer in front of the left medial malleolus due to thromboangiitis obliterans. According to Rutherford's classification, I classify it as grade 3 category 5 block at the level of posterior tibial artery and with the known risk factor of smoking and tobacco chewing. I would like to perform further investigations to confirm my diagnosis and plan an appropriate treatment.
While giving a provisional diagnosis,
Yes,
hello,
yes, sir.
you are given that critical limb ischemia of the left leg. That's what, that is enough. After that, you have to grade it, maybe the grade, category, all those things, and the exact site of poplite posterolateral, you can't say with all this. After going on with the investigations only, you can tell that. Okay.
Okay.
Critical limb ischemia of the left lower limb.
Okay.
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 Probably thromboangiopathy grade 3 category 5. That's all you can give. And the risk factor, all those things need not come in this provisional diagnosis.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I go to the next slide?
Hello. Now you you have to go with the investigation.
General investigations, complete blood count, ESR.
Okay, all these are done. What is more specific over here? What are all the conditions? Here you
Complete
have a complete blood count, ESR.
ESR in case of any inflammation is present. ESR will be elevated.
Anything else?
Then
Okay.
blood
Random
sugar.
blood sugar. Okay. If it is increased, you have to.
Then for other blood risk race.
1 minute.
No, 1 minute.
Problem?
Okay.
The presentation will come.
எங்க?
You
Nikki. Okay. Okay. Continue.
Yes. For
Hello?
clotting
Continue.
for clotting disorders, we have to find the prothrombin time, activated thromboplastin time.
Okay.
Protein C, protein S deficiencies. Then
Okay.
urine analysis for the renal function. If there's again undiagnosed hypertension, renal diseases, and chest X-ray and
Anything else?
ECG. Chest X-ray, ECG for
ECG. Okay. And you have to add something about the liver function test, that is, which is more important. What is the cholesterol, isn't it?
lipid profile.
LDL, that is the triglyceride and the cholesterol levels. So these go in favor if there is any hyperglyceridemia in the particular patient. Okay, so add that also. Go on with the next.
Specific
Okay.
investigations.
Now coming on to the specific.
Ankle
So what
break-
is ankle brachial index?
ankle brachial pressure index?
What is it?
ABPI is the highest blood pressure recorded in the ankle, in the foot, by highest recorded in the brachial artery. Hello?
So what is it normally?
Generally, the pressure in the foot is supposed to be higher. So normal values, it is normal when it is greater than 0.9. Then 0.5 to 0.8, it is mild.
So this ankle brachial index is supposed to be 1, okay, or sometimes up to 0.9. If it is more, less and less, then up to 0.5 is 0.7 is mild, and then if it is going to be 0.5 and less, that is severe, and if it is 0.3, then it comes to what? Very critical. Okay, it's very severe. Okay, so that is the ankle brachial index.
If it's greater than
Next.
1.3, it is calcified artery.
What is it?
If it's greater than 1.3, 3, it is calcified vessel, ma'am. It is wrongly high, falsely high value.
1.3 that you get usually when they exert and then do it, that will be different. When there is calcification of the vessels and it's not the vessel is not able to the smooth muscles are not able to relax, then you have a different condition. So that occurs in atherosclerotic problem. Okay. Then about the Doppler.
Doppler scan and duplex scan is Doppler plus B mode of ultrasound. Ultrasound of abdomen, again to check for any abdominal aorta aneurysm or dissection which is undiagnosed.
Okay.
Then angiography, you can do a retrograde transfemoral angiography using Seldinger technique, digital subtraction angiography, and CT or MR. If they are allergic to dye or cannot use a dye, you can do an angiography.
So this ultrasound abdomen for what?
Ma'am, abdominal aorta issues, ma'am. If there is any undiagnosed dissection or aneurysm.
Okay. So if there is, where aneurysm can occur?
Ma'am, in
Abdominal aorta as well as, so even in the thoracic part you can get it, isn't it?
thoracic aorta, then berry aneurysm.
So you can have the aneurysm, aortic aneurysm, not only in the abdominal part, in the thoracic part also. So what are you going to do with that? You have already taken an X-ray.
X-ray.
And if there is anything, you have to go in for a CT over there. Okay. So, coming to the angiography,
Yes, ma'am.
does all the patient need angiography? All lower limb ischemias need that?
I don't know.
So you want to confirm your diagnosis here. How are you going to confirm the diagnosis of Burgess here?
Ma'am, in duplex scan, the collateral vessels are corkscrew in appearance, and there is distal runoff. Uh, and
So when there
block,
is
block.
obstruction, there will be formation of collaterals. These collaterals may be bypassing this obstruction and coming out in a chronic ischemia to the lower end. So when there is lower part of the distal part of the vessel being supplied with a runoff of the blood, the part will not have any of the pain or discoloration or all those things. So if you have the discoloration, then that part is also not useful to maintain the oxygen saturation to the tissues. That's why it has come to this stage, isn't it? So you have to grade the angiography, which patient you need the angiography, you have to see with your other examinations. And the confirmation, how is it Burgess is confirmed?
Ma'am, you can't.
One, by your angiography, the segmental, what is?
Hmm? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
What is Burgess disease?
It is also called thromboangiitis.
What is Burgess?
It involves the artery, vein, and the nerve, ma'am. It is a
Artery, vein,
and the nerve.
capillaries, nerves. Okay.
So it is an
Then?
autoimmune inflammatory condition.
How did you explain? Yes, it is an inflammatory condition occurring
With a genetic risk factor, and it is generally aggravated by smoking with people with risk factor.
which occurs in the medium and small sized vessels, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, you have to explain that part of it. That is all risk factors. It is an occlusive part. Okay, segmental obstruction of the flow of blood.
Ma'am? Ma'am?
Of the medium. Few more slides are there.
Your voice broke now. I couldn't hear what you told.
Do you have any more slides to present in this presentation? Can we move on to the next presentation?
Yes, medical treatment and surgical.
Okay, finish that.
You finish it.
Finish.
You finish presenting.
Medical, you give analgesics to relieve the pain. Prevention. Treatment prevention. Previous slide. Further lifestyle modifications and abstinence from smoking, we have to advise them. And you can ask them to take care of the food from further injury and ulcer care. And then Burgess position and exercise is recommended. For the ulcer, regular clean dressing and vacuum assisted closure can be done. Medical treatment, analgesics to relieve the pain, and low dose aspirin and clopidogrel 75 milligram OD, and pentoxifillin 400 milligram 3 times a day for 3 to 4 weeks, and antibiotics for the ulcer. And surgical treatment, conservative amputation of the gangrenous toes, revascularization, and percutaneous transluminal balloon angioplasty and stenting. Then lumbar sympathectomy bilaterally for L2 to L4 and L1 only on one side. A chemical sympathectomy can be done for temporary purpose to relieve, to promote the healing of the ulcer.
So you have a medical management, you have a surgical management, and if these are not possible, then go in for a amputation, isn't it? So you have to know about the types of amputation and the
Hello? Huh? Ma'am? Ma'am, it broke again. Voice, couldn't hear it.
how is it others are presenting?
கொஞ்சம் few words அப்படியே blank போயிட்டு அப்புறமா clear
Okay, okay.
இப்போ கேக்குதா நம்ம கண்டினியூஸா?
கேக்குது.
Okay. So you have to know about the methods that is other than medical.
I'm again gone.
You have to read about it. Okay. Now we will go on with the next part of it, the theory part of it. Here, what else you have to know it? What is it they are doing in sympathectomy? That is lumbar sympathectomy, as well as the types. You are given only balloon angioplasty and stenting. There are few more other methods that also you have to know. And but in this particular case, you have to know what amputation you are going to do.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so in this you have the third and fourth toe is involved. So what type of amputation do you do? Ray amputation, okay. Okay, ray amputation, and you have to look for whether the vessel which are involved can be treated by your angioplastic methods.
Okay.
You share the next presentation now.
Yes, sir. 1 second, sir.
லேப்டாப் அந்த மெஷின்
Machine இதுல போடலையா? Okay.
Karthika, share the next presentation, ma.
Sir, 1 minute, sir.
Okay.
Tell me.
Yeah, share the screen. Yes, this one. Okay. Make it as full screen. Make it a slideshow. Okay.
Yeah, yes.
So now to have some idea about, able to hear now? Continue?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we have to know about the arterial diseases, that is the peripheral artery. What is peripheral artery? When do you say it is a peripheral arteries? And what are the other central arteries? Whatever you have around the heart as well as the cerebral system, which are in close continuity with the heart, that will be called as the central vessels. These peripheral vessels are which is present to the limbs, okay, like your femoral, popliteal, all those things are peripheral vessels. So occlusion is predominantly caused by the atherosclerosis and thromboembolic disease, isn't it? So major causes of which cause gangrene to the limbs will be one, the stenosis, which occur in the major vessels or sometimes in the small vessels or medium vessels. Two will be the inflammatory process, that is the what TAO. So severity of symptoms is related to the size of the vessel, whether there is a stenosis which occurs in the previous normal artery or gradually, which is chronic in nature or with progressive narrowing. So when you conclude that it is it an acute ischemia or a chronic ischemia which you are going to deal. So in chronic narrowing, the collateral circulation develops and reduces the symptoms until at a stage where these collaterals are not at all able to tackle, and the critical situation arises where there is ischemia. Okay, next.
Next slide.
Okay, so coming on to the features of chronic lower limb arterial stenosis or occlusion, main thing is intermittent claudication. You have to know what it is and you should be able to explain intermittent claudication. Claudication means that is the cramp-like pain, isn't it? So why is it called as intermittent? So the patient is able to walk for a distance, then stops, have some relief, and then go in for a walk again. So that is called as intermittent claudication. So the pain is intermittent in nature because of the rest. For a rest pain. So you have okay, there is a rest pain, then goes in for dependent rubor or sunset foot, then ulcerations. When this is a grade, first initial grade will be intermittent claudication, then goes in for rest pain, then all these ulcers or everything will come out, then the gangrene will be formed. So this is progressive in nature to form a gangrene. Okay, so
Next slide.
so this is about the intermittent claudication, and you have to find out whether it is due to the distance the patient is able to walk, and the patient wants to have rest after the walk. That is important. Next slide. Yes, what is Leriche syndrome? That is important. One commonly asked questions are when you have a the buttock region as well as with impotence resulting from arterial insufficiency, it is called as a Leriche syndrome. This occurs when there is a stenosis or obstruction or any aneurysm at the level of the bifurcation of the aorta.
Can you hear us?
Now, yes, sir.
Yes. So coming on to the rest pain, once the intermittent claudication distance reduces, there will be more chance hospital.
Ma'am, we can't hear you, ma'am.
You.
They have everything. Next.
Next slide, ma'am.
So you have the ulcers and gangrene. You have to measure the skin, subcutaneous tissues being eroded, and the muscle may be which, may be seen. Okay, so this is the type of ulcers which you come across. Maybe multiple ulcers at multiple sites because of the segmental involvement, or it could be due to the vascular skin being affected. So you have to look, okay, if you are able to whole thing.
Share the.
So the color temperatures next slide. Not very. Mr. 11:24.
Next slide, ma'am.
I think last time we had it under our control that will be easier. அவங்க விட்டுட்டு நம்ம போட்டுக்கலாம்.
இப்போ அந்த கேபிள்
Have to connect it with this. Okay. So you have the arterial pulses. Coming on to the arterial pulses, what all vessels you have to involvement or a single vessel involvement you have to find out. And walking until claudication occurs. Here you have given it as hello. Are you able to hear now?
Yes, ma'am.
So they have, if the pulses distal to these stenosis are all feeble, usually it will be feeble, whether it is present or not, or if it is to look for all these, you have to take into account. Next slide. So the investigations you have to do will be the general investigations, which include what all you have mentioned in the presentation. In addition, atherosclerosis is more common in what all age group, obesity, diabetes, as well as the hypertension. These people will have some more atheroma formation. In that, the lipids play an important role, so you have to add that also. In addition, the specific investigations, you have the Doppler or a duplex scanning. Usually we do the duplex scanning, and the DSA, if it is available, if possible, you can do that. Okay, so role of angiography is important. Before you know that it is, you're going to deal with this segment of the vessel or the whole vessel, you have to what is that recording? We are recording or they are recording?
Presenting. அது வேணும்னா ரெக்கார்ட் நம்ம அடுத்துனா ரெக்கார்ட்
Yes. So atherosclerosis, so common ones will be your atheroma formation and obstruction to the arteries, or it could be the TAO. TAO can also occur in the lower limbs as well as the upper limb. So atherosclerosis usually occurs in the bigger vessel, which are like the aorta and the common iliac vessel also may be affected. Next slide. So this gives you about the ankle brachial index. So this gives the pressure of the upper limb as well as the lower limb. So you have the flow being less, with less pressure over the particular limb. So you have necrosis when there is less than 0.3. Next slide. So this picture denotes, what is it? Probe. Okay, you are able to see the probe, and you have to keep over the vessel which you have identified and then measure. Okay. Next. This you have the BP cuff and the duple, and they are keeping it over the particular vessel which you want to measure. Usually very difficult. So this is about the duplex scanning. So duplex is nothing but your Doppler plus beam mode ultrasound. So they both are taken together, and the image is created by varying ability of the different tissues to reflect, used to insulate the imaged vessel, and Doppler shift is obtained. So you hear to some extent the picture as well as the sound is produced. So by this you can make out whether there is any obstruction or not. Next slide. DSA. Okay, this you can read it. Next slide. So this is what Seldinger's technique, retrograde technique, how you take the vessel, this catheter into the vessel. This is a picture of the catheter, and there is a needle. through which first they introduce with the needle, then a guide wire is introduced, then they will dilate the pathway and the catheter is so this is about next. Okay, so you have the medical management as well as the surgical management. When there is a decreased flow or an increased flow to the particular area, that is measured by all your investigations, and there should be optimization of the comorbidities. That is, where diabetes, all these has to be under control, and if there is a atherosclerosis, that also the lipid levels also to be taken into account, and that has to be controlled, and pain by your other means of analgesics, maybe narcotic if it is necessary. Next. So this is about the important factors which you have to ask the patient. One, stop the smoking. If he is an alcoholic, stop alcohol. Then about the betel tobacco chewer, that all those habits have to be stopped. Then the diabetes, hypertension and dyslipidemia all to be controlled. And coming on to the foot care. Next slide. So ultimately, we want the blood supply or the oxygen to the particular area to be better than the previous one. For that, one, the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood has to be increased, or the vessel which has narrowed has to be dilated, or there should be something that the clots are not formed, or the clots has to be diluted or destroyed. So for this, you are giving all these drugs, that is antiplatelets, dipyridamole, pentoxifylline, and celostine. So atorvastatin and the statins are also important. Next. So then NSAIDs, opiates, epidural analgesia. If the patient is having intolerable pain due to whatever site and exercise, all these has been tackled, even then if there is pain, then you can go in for a epidural analgesia. Next. All these which we had already told, the comorbids have to be controlled, the hypertension, diabetic status to be controlled, the smoking is stopped, and you give antiplatelets, then lipid modification. Next slide. So coming on to the acute limb ischemia. So these are the P's which you come across, that is the pain, pallor, pulselessness, as well as the paralysis and paresthesia, which you have to look for. And the cause is thromboembolism. So you have to look for the heart, whether there is any reason like arrhythmias, and there is a stasis of blood which produce a clot, and it is coming on to the peripheral vessels. Okay, next. So this is about the severity of the disease. Staging. You people know how to stage it, whether the limb is viable, whether it is threatened, is it a minimal, moderate or severe in nature. So you have to look for the muscle weakness, sensory loss, arterial venous, and both all these to be evaluated and come to the stage, assess the stage, whether it is 1, 2 or 3. Next. So this is about the diagnosis, which with all these symptoms and signs, you have assessed a little bit about the limb ischemia. Now about the treatment with IV heparin. So it is an acute stage. You have to immediately tackle the problem. Otherwise, the limb will go in for a gangrene. So give IV heparin, then watch, and then you have to evaluate the by your other investigations. Go on with the next treatment methods, whether it is going to be a plasty or an amputation or whatever. Next slide. So this is about the thrombolytic therapy. Contraindication, that is active bleeding diathesis if the patient is having. So that's what we are doing with your complete blood count and clotting time, bleeding time, all these to be taken into account in the initial stage. If there is anything over there, you have to stop that also. Next slide. So this slide gives about the non-vascular surgery, in the sense trauma, if there is any trauma over there for within 10 days, all these are contraindications for the other methods. Next, this picture shows a thrombectomy, open or we call it as endarterectomy, where you have an open method and the closed method. This is the open method of doing a thrombectomy or endarterectomy. So you have the intimal damage alone has to be taken out by your means of pushing in the balloon type of angiographic tools, and then you have to take out the clots. Next. This is again combined Rutherford and Fontaine staging. Nothing much. It is the same whether the patient is asymptomatic or having mild, moderate or severe claudication, or is it a rest pain, or is it going on progress to the ischemic ulcers and gangrene. So depending upon that, you have to stage with it. Rutherford and Fontaine. So having confirmed, either you go for the you play angiography of a particular limb. If not, the patient will be going in for a gangrene. So at that stage, you have to go meddle with your other surgical methods of amputation. Next slide. So this is about the pictures which show the bypass, that is techniques by which you bypass the particular segment where you have the clot or the stenosis. Then the proximal segment is connected to the distal to the pathologic part, and these are the common bypass which they do, that is the ioto-bifemoral or the inverted Y, call it graft. This graft is made up of a Teflon, like Teflon or a Dacron material can be used, and nowadays even more it is with some other material which doesn't form any clots. So it may be lined inside with other anti-clotting mechanisms. Now it is the extra anatomical or the axillobifemoral. So when there is a clot formed in the main vessel, then you don't have any other go to take out to bypass from the aorta. Then you go to the axillobifemoral or femorophemoral and obturator. Next. So this picture shows there is a clot being there, or a thrombus which is present over the right side alone. So the segment prior that, or the proximal part of it, is connected to the distal part. It is a iliofemoral bypass. Next, that is here again, it is the femoral artery being involved. So the graft which is present, it's a tube like same graft which they are using in the proximal vessels, but the size of the graft, that is the tube, will be less. Stent. Then next, this is again a picture of the axillofemoral bilateral. Again, this is the same on one side. It has come from the axilla to the femoral on both sides. Okay. Next, this is part of it is you people have to know something is happening. This part can be bypassed, and you can have a graft like this. That's what you have to know about. And what are all the types of graft, which are the common ones which is being done over here, and you have the other methods are also there. And this gives about the complications: superficial and deep wound infection, groin hematoma, lymphatic leakage, femoral nerve entrapment, limb swelling, or knee contracture. All these are the complications of all this. Next, this is about the subintimal angioplasty, or you can call it as a endarterectomy. That is, you have a balloon going on through the intimal layer, between the muscle layer and the intima, and take out that intima out and then dissolve it or take it out. If it is possible to take it out by dissolving the clot, then you can take it out. This is a method by which you remove the clots. Next, so this is balloon angioplasty. Balloon angioplasty, where you have the clot inside the vessel and the balloon is distended, so that the vessel diameter will be more. Stent. It is a picture of the stent being kept over there in the aorta. Next. So the inner surface is bonded with heparin. Nowadays, PTFE has been used previously, and now also you have the PTFE along with added heparin things, and the patient has to be kept on anticoagulants. Next, these are all same graph. Next. This is next. So this is about the atherectomy devices. How you, the second picture, you can see that there is something which removes the clot from inside, and the diameter of the vessel is increased. Next, non-operable patients. Now, if this methods are not available, or the patient cannot afford it, or the patient not willing for this, then you can go in for sympathectomy. Whether it is an open sympathectomy or a chemical sympathectomy can be done. Next. So this is about the lumbar sympathectomy, where you go at the level of the L1, L2, then you have to remove the nerves from the ganglion, at the ganglion, which is present over there at the level of L2, and you have to remove that particular segment between L2 and the L4. So open methods can be done like this, or if you want to do a chemical blockade, you can inject 3 ml of 6.5 or 7% phenol over the site, or absolute alcohol can be injected. Next. So this is a picture showing how they go. The epidural needle will be used to do a sympathectomy, that is chemical sympathectomy. Next. Coming on to the amputations. you have so many types, and depending upon the levels, is it if it is a toe amputation or a ray, you do by the method of ray amputation. Then you have the forefoot amputation, midfoot, BK or AK, hip disarticulation. All these are types of amputation. But in case of vascular disorders, usually we go in for a ray amputation or a BK or a AK amputation. Next, so the deciding is important. Every inch of stump is important for the patient. So you have to assess the particular level where you have to do the amputation. The vascularity of the proximal segment, which is kept left behind, has to be good. Next, this is a picture of the ray amputation. Then how they have done, remove the toe and then rejoin the neighboring tissues, that is the muscle, whichever has been there. Look for the vascularity of the muscle and the other tissues over there, and then you suture. Next slide. This is about the transmetatarsal. So you have the metatarsal bones, and if the toes are all the 5 toes are gangrenous and the proximal part is good, then you have to go in for the transmetatarsal amputation. Next. So this gives an idea of the level of amputation, but in arterial diseases, the signs and the chopoids, all these are not of much use. Either you go in for a 4-foot amputation, toe amputation, or a BK. Next. So this is about the BK amputation. So you have to select the level at which it is always done, mostly done, but it can be at a lower level if the toes alone are involved, or the vessel which is blocked is at a lower level alone. So for BK, normally these are the level being chosen from the tubercle, or what is the how many centimeters, and behind you leave a flap, and that flap vascularity has to be good, and then you can close the flap. Okay. Next. This is again how the AK or the above knee amputation can be done. It is a midpoint of the lateral incision. There you have an arrow over there. That is the way they are doing. And nowadays there are other methods of closure also. Next. So having done amputation, patient cannot be left out just like that. You have to support the patient with these limbs, artificial limbs, or whatever physical other methods of support, weight bearing. So this has to be done. Here in this case, a hemipelvic pelvectomy has been done, and complete hip amputation. The picture is that mostly for arterial diseases, you don't need this sort of amputation. If it is at a higher level, either you bypass or do something else to, even only in case of trauma, all this goes on. Next. So the process is the BK or AK here. So the good stump is more important. Next. Next. So this is about having talked about the case. We'll know a little bit about the TAO. So it is a segmental thrombosing, acute and chronic, acute or chronic inflammation, or acute on a chronic inflammation of medium and small arteries. There will be thrombophlebitis, mostly a superficial thrombophlebitis, or sometimes deep veins are also involved. there will be something called a Raynaud's phenomenon. There is no time to explain all these things. You have everything in your books. That is, the Raynaud's phenomena is important. Next. So, what is the age group at which this TAO occurs? Usually in the early adulthood, that is 20 to 40 years, most of them get it, and mostly it is a male who is a smoker and of low socio-economic status. These are the patients who come into this category, and it is common in Asia. Next. So this gives a picture of the smoking, what happens, whether there is whether all the layers are involved, or is it only the intimal layer being involved. So in case the atherosclerosis, the layers at which the atheroma forms or the plaque forms is different, and in Burgess this is different. You have the intimal hyperplasia, then there will be some sort of ulceration over the site, then thrombus formation over the site, and then obliteration of the lumen, and ischemia occurs. So the same way thrombophlebitis also occurs. Superficial thrombophlebitis also may be present. Next. So this is, you can't definitely say that it is only a TAO, and coming on to the pathological part of it, it is the biopsy of the particular segment of the vessel which gives you definitely that it is a Burgess. Next. So this is a vessel completely occluded by an inflammatory thrombus. Arrows indicate the presence of microabscess. There may be some amount of giant cells and microabscesses will be formed, and this occludes the vessel. So this is an important picture which the important thing which shows whether the involvement is in the lower limb or upper limb, and we talked about the intermittent claudication progressing to rest pain, ulceration and gangrene. Already we have discussed about it, and about the Raynaud's phenomenon, recurrent thrombophlebitis, superficial thrombophlebitis may be present. And for the skin, while examining the or the particular area, you have to look for the shiny skin, loss of subcutaneous fat. So this, why this occurs, the oxygen supply or the blood supply to the skin and subcutaneous is initially diverted to the muscle, and later on the muscle also doesn't get the nutrition, so that also gets wasted. So all these findings, in addition, the line of demarcation also, if it's present, as we noted. So the line of demarcation is present when in a dry gangrene mostly. Next. So this is about the claudication and the ABPI, how you calculate. Next. Coming on to the angiography pictures, that is transfemoral retrograde angiography, or the Seldinger technique, by which you introduce your catheter through the femoral into the aorta and inject the dye. Then you have to look for the vessels or the dye passing through all the vessels, the blockage level, whether it is single or multiple, on the corkscrew appearance of the vessel due to dilation of the vasa vasorum of the particular vessel. Then if there is any collaterals being formed, they picture radiologically, they call it as an inverted tree appearance or a spider-like appearance. If it is present, can look out. And the distal runoff is nothing much. It is the same dye which has gone through the collateral and coming on to the main vessel. That is the one. Then about the digital subtraction angiography. So this is the picture which shows what we have just now talked about. Next. So how do you treat the patient? It is the smoking which you should prevent the patient from smoking, and the diseases, if it occurs, it progresses, and you have to tackle it in the initial stage itself. So smoking has to be prevented. And this is about the medical management of aspirin, prostacyclins, then carnitine, then statins, then analgesics. Next. So other methods how the vascularity of the distal part can be maintained, that is by, in addition to the graft being placed, there are other methods which have been tried, like the omentoplasty or a profundoplasty, wherein you have the omentum which is highly vascularized, that is which have arcades of vessels, and that vessel can be taken from the abdomen through the subcutaneous tissue to the lower areas, that is omentoplasty, and the lumbar sympathectomy already we have discussed. And eventually, if all this doesn't work, go in for a amputation. Next. So you have to know whether the particular patient has a bigger vessel involvement or a peripheral vessel involvement, and is it a thrombus or a embolus, or is it a inflammatory pathology? So all these have to be taken into account, and you have to work up with the patient for this diagnosis, particular diagnosis. And I will give you one more thing, that is whether you have to find out whether which vessel is being involved is important. Whether the upper limb, can a Burgess disease occur in the upper limb? Yes, it can occur, but it is very rare. Same way, can it occur in a female? That is also very rare. So you have to know which vessel is being involved and what is the proper management for the particular patient. Okay. If you have any doubt, you can clear it later. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.